A mystery is unfolding right now, deep in outer space. We've given this strange celestial enigma a name, 3I Atlas. But the truth is, we don't really know what it is or what it's doing. This object is weird. It looks weird, it moves weirdly, and it seems to be made of strange materials. We've spent a lot of time studying it, but a new, unsettling thought has emerged. What if it's been studying us for much longer? Let's start with some recent incredible images of 3I Atlas. They were captured by astrophotographers in the remote Namibian desert, one of the darkest places on Earth. They took advantage of a total lunar eclipse, when the Earth's shadow blocked all sunlight from reflecting off the moon. This created the darkest sky possible, giving them the clearest view into space. They pointed their cameras at one specific object, 3I Atlas. And what they saw that night was shocking. The object was glowing a bright green. Now, based on everything we know about 3I Atlas, this shouldn't be happening. There is no known natural explanation for this color. The prevailing theory is that 3I Atlas is an interstellar comet from a distant star system, so we expect it to be a little weird. But comets turn green because of a specific chemical process, when diatomic carbon, or C2, is exposed to sunlight. It's a simple structure, just two carbon atoms bonded together, and a normal comet would have a lot of it. But here's the strange part. We used every major telescope to study this object over the summer, and the observations clearly showed that 3I Atlas is deficient in these carbon chain molecules. It doesn't have the C2 needed to turn green, and yet there it is, glowing bright green in the dark. So, what's going on? We don't have an answer. The mysteries don't stop there. The coma, or the fuzzy cloud surrounding 3I Atlas, is filled with an enormous amount of carbon dioxide, CO2. That's carbon bonded to two oxygen atoms, a completely different thing from C2. This makes the object incredibly bright, but it doesn't explain the green glow. The sheer amount of CO2 is also bizarre. It vastly outweighs the amount of water vapor, which is the exact opposite of what we see in a typical comet from our own solar system. And then there's the metal. The coma is full of it, particularly nickel. Now, seeing metal isn't unusual for a comet, but it only happens when the comet gets very close to the sun and heats up enough to vaporize the metals. 3I Atlas is nowhere near the sun right now. So why is it releasing a cloud of metal? Perhaps the strangest thing of all is how it's moving. Its trajectory and velocity have remained almost perfectly consistent. It hasn't sped up, slowed down, or changed direction in any meaningful way. This might not sound weird, but for a comet, it's unheard of. As comets approach the sun, they heat up and sublimate gas. The release of that gas acts like a thruster, pushing the comet around. This is called non-gravitational acceleration, or NGA. A typical comet's path will change because of it. 3I Atlas has been sublimating a lot of gas, creating that bright coma, and yet its trajectory has only fluctuated by about 1.5 kilometers. For comparison, the interstellar comet 2I Borisov fluctuated by over 100 kilometers per day. That's nearly 100 times more movement. Even the massive comet Hale-Bopp, which was huge and harder to move, still experienced over 10 kilometers of NGA daily. And Oumuamua, our first interstellar visitor, changed its course by over 1,000 kilometers. The course of 3I Atlas is so steady you could almost call it intentional. This brings us to a crazy theory connected to one of astronomy's greatest mysteries, the WOW signal. Back in 1977, astronomers using the Big Ear radio telescope detected something so unusual, one of them simply wrote WOW on the data printout. It was an incredibly powerful, narrowband radio signal from space. We know it wasn't from our own technology, the sun, or any known planet. We only know it came from the direction of the Sagittarius constellation. Two things about this signal are critical. First, the enormous amount of energy it would have required. Second, its connection to hydrogen. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, and it emits a radio frequency known as the hydrogen line at 1420 MHz. The frequency of the WOW signal, 1420 MHz. If you wanted to send a simple universal message across the stars, this is exactly how you'd do it. Now, let's look at 3I Atlas again. If we reverse engineer its trajectory, tracing its path back through space, where does it come from? The Sagittarius constellation, the same patch of sky as the WOW signal. Is it possible that the signal, detected back in 1977, came from our new visitor? At that time, it would have been at the outer edge of our solar system. Maybe it was just giving us a heads up. This is just a theory, of course. It hasn't been proven. But it hasn't been disproven either. The truth is out there, and right now, it's heading our way. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into one of space's most compelling mysteries. What do you think is going on with 3I Atlas? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.